Okay, it's 6 o'clock, so let's go ahead and get started. Good evening. Can we have roll call, please?
All right. Supervisor Hess,
Present.
Trustee Knott,
Present.
Trustee King,
Here.
Trustee Bradlow is absent, and Trustee Thurman, I believe, is also absent, correct? For now.
Okay, so if we could all stand for the pledge. Chad, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next we have approval of the agenda. So,
We could do a voice vote
Okay.
on a motion.
okay. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I will. Okay.
Seconded by Lisa.
Dale said he's on his way. He's just moving slowly.
Okay,
I apologize, who seconded?
Lisa? And all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All right, so the approval of the agenda passed. Okay, public comment. Mr. Charlotte, you have a comment?
Is there a quorum present? Did we meet the quorum quota? Okay, just want to verify. The township is making some progress on having information published on its website. I was glad to see that the financials were out there as part of the material today. However, we are still not getting access to the board packets. The public doesn't have access to that. Now, the argument has been made here, and I read back the information from the meeting in December where the resolution was passed saying that packets of board information shall not be maintained on the website due to data storage constraints and expense. However, each of you board members and the supervisor can simply log into the server and grab this information. It's just a matter of a PDF or two. Why you're not making the board packet available to the public anymore is absolutely ridiculous. I checked with some friends who work with computers. You guys were able to share with me, Karen was kind enough to provide me with meeting videos, which require lots of space. Telling me you don't have a room for a PDF on a server is blatantly false, and there's expense involved in maintaining that. Come on. I've told everybody about that, people who watch government, and they absolutely laugh at that nonsense. Why you can't make the board packet available to the public is ridiculous. Again, I'm glad to see the financials are there, at least they were for this meeting, and that needs to happen on a regular basis. Regarding minutes, as I should say, regarding videos, I do strongly encourage this board to continue to live stream these meetings. I hope we are transmitting right now, because last week we weren't. Even though last week you weren't, I filed a complaint with the Attorney General regarding that. They're going to review that as well, because you guys did have on your agenda, the public would have access to that online, and you didn't. You gotta do what's on your agenda. Now, the rationale was given, I can't remember which of you guys said this, but as I was reviewing the previous meetings regarding reasons that you do not want to have video available or do these transmissions of video, is because I think the quote was, COVID is not so much of a problem. Really? Look at this. We're all wearing masks. COVID still is a problem. I can't remember which one of you guys said that. You also said no one shows up to the live streams anyway, so having staff check the live stream is a waste of time. Really? What's so hard? Hey, when I work on the radio, I turn on the radio to make sure we're transmitting, okay? It's real simple. All you gotta do is check. Please maintain accessibility for the public to these meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have presentations. So, and presentations, and then we're going to be discussing the resolution that amends the property tax abatement in the DeKalb County Enterprise Zone. I'm not going to be voting on it tonight, but as long as Frank and Paul are here, I thought it would be a good opportunity for us to be able to ask any questions. Hi, Dale. So Andrew, can you be sure to note the time? Okay, thank you. And so that is in your board packet. So we'll have them do their presentation first, and then if there's questions about their presentation or the amendments, we can go ahead and do that.
Thank you, Mary. And let me first extend my sincere thanks to you, Supervisor Hess, and the DeKalb Township Board of Trustees for your support of DCEDC this year and throughout our 34-year history. For those of you who may not know, DCEDC is a public-private partnership dedicated to the expansion and diversification of the DeKalb County economy. We work with site selectors, industrial and real estate brokers in the state of Illinois to attract business, investment, and job creation. To do this, we prepare detailed proposals, customized research, and presentations with community and business leaders. We worked closely, for example, with Jerry Krasinski and the Chicago West Business Center to demonstrate the capacity for the regional labor market to accommodate for our Candy's labor needs. In past years, we worked with Venture One Real Estate and Park 88 on 3 new 3M facilities, as well as the attraction of the Target Distribution Center. We, as the DeKalb County Economic Development Corporation, we worked for 6 years from 2013 to 2019 with the data center industry professionals, legislators, the Illinois Chamber of Commerce, and ultimately the governor's office to secure approval of legislation to make Illinois competitive for data center campuses like Facebook. We worked with DeKalb County, the city of DeKalb, DeKalb Township, and more than 20 other governmental bodies to create and secure state approval for the DeKalb County Enterprise Zone, and we serve as administrator of the zone. The Enterprise Zone has been a game changer for us in the attraction of business and is also the expansion of local companies. The Enterprise Zone was essential to Facebook and very important to Ferrara, for example. DCEDC also works closely with local businesses to identify and address needs in order to contribute to expansion and new investment. This past year, we partnered with Northern Illinois University on the DeKalb County Unites program, together with the Chambers of Commerce, to support and assist small business during the COVID shutdowns. DCEDC maintains a business retention and talent pipeline committee, and those committees merged to address the acute workforce needs of businesses currently experiencing post-COVID. And the committee is putting together workshops and podcasts to connect employers with resources and best practices to recruit and retain talent to their companies. DCEDC has initiated the Opportunity Unbound Branding and Communications program. The purpose of this program is to further attract business development, but also, and perhaps even more importantly, to attract talent to live, work, and play in DeKalb County. DeKalb County is losing population in the 18 to 35 age group, down 2.5% in the past decade, and the 36 to 49 age group, down 7.5%. It's critical to attract talent and leadership for our businesses and our communities, and we have immense assets for community as well as business development to promote broadly. In summary, since its creation in 1987, DCEDC has contributed to the attraction of over $2 billion worth of investment and 15,000 jobs. The support of DeKalb Township is essential, and it is valued by us and in our efforts and our board of directors. It enables us to attract resources from other governmental bodies, but mostly from business and industry to support the marketing and development efforts. Supervisor Hess serves on the board of directors of DCEDC and the Enterprise Zone Advisory Board, helping to guide and direct our efforts to grow the economy. I want to commend DeKalb Township. You've helped create a very attractive and appealing environment in the township and the county for business development. Our collaborative efforts have contributed to rather dramatic business development, job creation, and tax-based growth. Thank you for your support of DCEDC. And I also distributed report highlighting the developments of 2020, including Aurora, Facebook, Worley Custom Fabrication, Syngenta just west of us in Malta, A&M Tire, B&C Logistics, as well as summary information about the enterprise zone and the DeKalb County Unites program and our comprehensive economic development strategy for you to review at your leisure. But again, we really sincerely appreciate the collaboration with DeKalb Township. Are there any questions, general questions about DCEDC and our work and our efforts?
I got a question. You mentioned about the population of people that are leaving DeKalb. Do you know if these are college educated people and they're going for opportunities, and the businesses that you're bringing are more like factory in terms of general employment opportunities?
No, I don't think we've secured a breakdown of the, but I think that might be available. Our goal is to make sure we retain and attract young people. We have a lot of young people that spend a considerable amount of time in the community through the university, and there are always opportunities for people relocating within the greater western suburban northern Illinois area, and we need to promote just the diverse and attractive quality of life available from downtown urban environments to small town and rural and suburban subdivisions, and as well as all of the attractions. We believe that there's a good opportunity to grow our population and attract and retain talent by making people more aware of what DeKalb County has to offer.
I asked that question because it seems to me that the people that are moving are people that are mobile to move, right? So if I'm working class and I'm poor, I can't just pick my family up and go. If I'm going because there's some viable employment someplace. So that's why I raised the question.
Yeah, well, we certainly have the employment, and it's continuing to grow. I appreciate that question. I think that's something we need to dig in further, particularly in directing our marketing activities and identifying where our opportunities lie or where we need to improve to retain people.
Do you get that data from the census?
Yes, we're looking forward to the new census data.
Okay, so
This data came from where?
Oh, this,
about those age populations moving out, is that
yes,
from the
that was
census?
from the census.
So that's what,
That's probably, and that's
10 years old? Okay, all right, so,
we're looking forward to an update.
okay.
Yes.
So with the development that you brought here so far, what percentage of those jobs, I think that's kind of the least, so what percentage of those jobs are, can support a upper middle class as versus, because I think most of those like are factory jobs, and I'm assuming that those can support an upper or middle class family. Does that make any sense to you, the salary?
We can get additional data on the salaries, but they're all most of the jobs, if not all, provide full benefits and are in the range of $18 to $20 to $22 an hour or more for the lowest level, entry level starting jobs. And the demand, the current demand for labor is currently affecting the wages required to attract employees.
I guess that's a better question. What percentage is entry level positions as opposed to more executive management type level?
Mm-hmm. I don't know off the top of my head, but I can find out.
Okay, yeah, I'm just curious about it. But everything you said sounds good. I know so about some of these initiatives already. I'm totally on board with all of it. So just information gathering.
Good questions. I'll secure some additional information to help address those.
Well, the DCEDC certainly has had a positive impact in DeKalb County in attracting these new businesses, which helps grow the tax base. So, and it, based on more building that's going on, it's going to continue to happen. And so I thank you for your work and advocating for the community and attracting businesses here. So thank you for that. The property tax abatement, this was something that the board passed back in 2014 to develop the enterprise zone. All the municipalities throughout DeKalb County and all of the taxing bodies, I believe, had to be on board to in order to qualify for the enterprise zone. And so over time, in order to attract some different types of businesses, amendments have been made along the way to this original resolution, correct? Okay, and so this is a version, an updated version that in your packets here that that reflects some more recent changes that have been made. But is this from 2020?
The initial changes were December of 2019 and then early 2020, yes.
Okay,
And they were, yes, and they were made by as required by the county and municipalities, which are designating units of government for the enterprise zone. And the taxing bodies within the jurisdictions that required the amendments to attract business or company or project passed those participation resolutions at that time. And we had quite a few amendments underway at the same time, and we focused on the project-specific municipalities and taxing bodies. And now that many of those projects are underway or completed, we've prepared and presented cumulative amendment list or an amended resolution addressing all of the changes from late 2019 and early 2020.
okay. So the abatements for, say, Ferrara haven't changed from the original enterprise zone resolution, correct?
Yeah, no, the abatements for Ferrara,
Looks like it's knowledge base.
no, Ferrara was logistics and distribution, and the Ferrara tax abatement was subject to an intergovernmental agreement with all of the taxing bodies in the city of DeKalb, because the timing was of the essence, and the amendments required for Ferrara and for Facebook, the high impact amendments that are referenced here, weren't part of the enterprise zone, and the enterprise zone amendment and approval process with the taxing bodies and with the state of Illinois amounted to too much time to enable Ferrara to proceed under the timetable that they required. So the intergovernmental agreement with the municipalities in the city of DeKalb mirrored those that were ultimately approved by the enterprise zone program, and they're identical or to the intergovernmental agreement that the township approved.
Okay, all right. So Brad and I had a discussion about this, and maybe we can frame some questions differently.
Yeah, if the board would indulge me, I do have a small number of questions just to, I don't think necessarily understand what the resolution says so much as its impact. And I think just an initial point of interest is both Ferrara and the Facebook location are a stone's throw from the border of DeKalb Township. Is there a reason, I guess, that some of these larger opportunities may not have landed within the township's jurisdiction?
Well, I think the Ferrara site in the Chicago West Business Center, the main tract of land north of Gurler within the township, fully suited the needs of Ferrara and Ferrara is complete and operational. The Facebook project required a 500 acre contiguous site. And the site that they chose south of Burler Road accommodated their needs.
Okay. So location is what
Is your question why wasn't more some of the improvements in the township?
I mean, not in any cynical or accusatory way,
Yeah.
just, I think it's a point of interest that
Sure.
the two most recent development opportunities have been at arm's reach of the township, but not within the township.
I think Ferrara
No,
is.
Ferrara
isn't it?
is.
Are they
within the township.
completely within?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
sorry, I thought.
Okay, then that was my misunderstanding. And I drove by it. It's a beautiful facility too.
Ferrara is fully in the township. And Project Barb, the other project, the pending project that was recently approved by the city of DeKalb is just east of Ferrara in the Chicago West Business Center, north of Burler in DeKalb Township.
And space-wise, it was just a suitable number of acres, right? That
Yes,
you're not gonna find everywhere.
right.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Also, just on this, I guess, the same note, as we're basically joining into amendments that other units of government have already adopted is
Correct.
my understanding. And that was due to just urgency, is my understanding of why we're now having this conversation
That's
instead of
correct.
6 months ago or a year ago. Is there any intention that, is there anything retroactive we need to be aware of that would impact the township? Would there be anything, any intention for any of these provisions as amended to be applied retroactively to any of the businesses?
No, I don't believe so. No, because the intergovernmental agreement that was approved by the township for our candy company mirrors the enterprise zone amendments.
But it's already in place, correct? And we haven't signed it?
You haven't adopted a resolution in support of it, correct?
All right, and the first tax year would be applicable, is that 2021?
I believe it. I'll need to check on that. Yeah,
We understand
there
the
might be a
question.
partial assessment for 2021.
I mean, are we gonna be going back, looking at something retroactively in terms of the tax impact for the township? Is ultimately the question.
I don't believe retroactively for the tax impact. No.
Okay,
Everything is forward-looking.
that's what it reads. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't another intention with that, knowing it was already in place, so. Thank you for that clarification. And, just, and maybe this is really just a pure curiosity question, I think, for the board's edification as they're looking to adopt those. There's expansion of the enterprise zone to include the NIU Research Park, as well as allowing existing developments to basically be taken over by new businesses and built out, right, redeveloped by new businesses to capture them as part of the enterprise zone. Are there any specific plans for those facilities? Are there particular businesses that are being, I guess, courted, for lack of a better word? Why we're making these changes? I mean, is there a specific reason, or is it just a general sense to be broader?
I think the opportunity certainly exists for businesses to work with Northern Illinois University to collaborate on research and development projects and potentially invest in real estate near the campus to facilitate that collaboration. So that's a real opportunity that the university expressed interest in being aware of. In fact, the university is is in the process of preparing for the development of the Northern Illinois Center for Community Sustainability, a research center that takes advantage of many of the assets available at the university, dealing with water resources, climate, and food systems. So there is a dialogue and discussion, and the potential exists for those projects. And as we looked at the enterprise zone program that was crafted in 2014, the language may not have been clear enough to address research and development projects in a location like that.
Now, the NIU, the sustainability one that's being built, that was proposed, what, 3 years ago. Now that is state owned, so that won't generate any tax revenue, correct?
Isn't
Isn't it with you guys?
Yes, if it's public, if it's invested, if it's totally constructed and developed publicly, yes, you're correct.
So you're trying to attract like some private partnerships that
Yes.
will,
Other research parks in the state and in the country engage in partnerships with private entities, private businesses that might lease the land and develop and build a building on the real estate, and those private improvements are subject to problem.
okay, thank you.
Or can be.
Okay.
Yeah, so the opportunity exists, and we have discussions all the time. We promote, but I can't say at this moment anything urgent in the works.
I'm not speaking out of school, but last year you looked at 36. You basically answered an RFP for 36 opportunities in DeKalb County. Year to date so far, he's up about 45. So there's a lot of interest in DeKalb County from an economic development perspective.
It's fantastic.
And they're varied, just on the south side or whatever. It's all throughout DeKalb County. And it's really exciting. And some of it is brand new construction. Some of it is started to think. And that's a resolution. And some of it is taking over properties that's just been sitting for a long time. People look at it and they come in, and I can't speak to any specific ones, but I know there's a handful of people that are coming in there and saying, I really like that location. I don't know whether it necessarily falls under this, but there's a lot of interest in DeKalb County.
Yeah.
And with all of these improvements, the enabling significant reinvestment of an older abandoned building, for example, no project would qualify for a tax abatement unless it generated new assessed valuation and the potential for new revenue. So that would apply to specific major improvements. The way that the ordinances and the intergovernmental agreement and the resolutions were written previously, it didn't allow for major improvement of an abandoned building. So that made sense. And we had experienced potential opportunities that brought that to our attention. I don't know that we lost any, but it caused us to suggest that we amend the program to address that. Data centers, we didn't define data centers in the original language, so it was unclear. It's clearly a knowledge-based facility, and so we spelled that out and spelled that out in some of the initial amendments and Facebook amendments to accommodate that project. And we did experience the potential for speculative investment. We've had developers talk to us about investing in a spec building, putting up the building ahead of having an operating tenant or buyer with a business operation and jobs. Many markets support spec buildings, and the majority of companies don't have the time maybe to invest in the development of their own building, and spec it out, and either invest in it or take the time. So in the greater Chicago area market, in any market that can support it, spec buildings help accelerate the growth of business and the growth of communities looking for industry. So we wanted to call that out, and we extended the job creation period from 2 to 4 years to allow from when the building's initiated, in order to allow an owner to be able to market it and bring in an industry with the potential of qualifying for property, an industry property tax abatement based on their job creation and their wages as required. And at the same time, I'm sorry, Brad, I don't mean to cut off your questions. Is it okay if I summarize this, or did you have some?
Oh, no, that you actually answered the questions I had, so
Oh, okay.
thank you.
And that first series of 4 amendments that we identified, we also, it was about the time that Illinois addressed the minimum wage improvements. And so we modified the program to, rather than have a $14 minimum wage for, and I think a $20 for knowledge-based industry, 14 for manufacturing industry and 20 for knowledge-based. We scheduled the wage requirements to follow the Illinois minimum wage, so that industrial and logistics companies must pay 140% of the minimum wage at the time of their development, and knowledge-based companies 160%. And then the last 2 high-impact amendments address programs for extraordinarily large and in developments with significant amount of job creation. One was modeled on the Ferrara project, requiring or allowing a 15-year property tax abatement for 50% each year for projects over $100 million of investment and the creation of 400 jobs and 900,000 square feet of space. And then addressing the Facebook project and other future projects like Facebook provided for a 55% abatement for 20 years with a minimum investment of $800 million, 50 jobs, and also 900,000 square feet of development. So.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I have 2 questions actually. I have 3 questions. How diverse is your board? What is it, EDC?
Yeah.
And I'm asking, I've been to a meeting or 2 when Cohen was there. He may still be there, I don't know. And my other question is, what are the board expectations when it comes to diversity? If you have any expectations. And the last question is about, I don't know another word for it other than being green, right? Are there any expectations for companies that you look at to be responsible to the environment?
Well, all very good questions. Our board recruited and welcomed diverse new board members within the past year and a half or so, or within the past year. And we adopted a strategic plan that calls for the development of a policy regarding future diverse membership and participation and proactive recruitment. Is that fair, Frank?
Yeah, let me answer your question very directly. We're not where we need to be. When I was on the DeKalb County Community Foundation Board, and I was a board president for 2 years. One of my biggest priorities was to improve the diversity of that organization, and we did it. And one of the things that I'm really committed to in my term, which has a year and a half maybe left, is the exact same thing. So we're working at it. It's a personal commitment of mine to be, because you're the second person today that's asked that question. So we're not anywhere where we need to be, but we're committed to working on it. And as our board, we work on it. That's going to be we're restructuring right now our committee structure. Right now, we're like everybody. You got a personnel committee, finance, and nominating. We're taking all of that and putting it under governance committee. And so the governance committee is going to be charged with developing a list of countywide committee members and prospective board members. it's gonna need to be more diverse. Well, we're not there yet.
I knew that. I just was wondering what the response to that was.
Yep, we're not.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of work to do, but we're committed to doing it.
Well, let me just say that sounds good because I know, based on money and how money works, you could get the job done without that. But I think because you're part of a community that is increasingly diverse, you live in a society that is increasingly diverse, that's important.
It's totally important.
Yeah.
So when you say you know how money works and you can get the job done without it, what do you mean without it?
I mean, if you continue with the board as it is, and DeKalb stayed as it is, and the communities around DeKalb in terms of politics stayed as they are, things will continue to move without me, labeling groups of folk. But the other aspect of that is other groups are on the move as well. Just not maybe in this community, which means that they in some ways can become, competitors. And it's better, I think, to cooperate than to compete. So if you can get people on your team that are different from you but share your value system, then everybody wins.
That's what we're trying to do. And, the one thing that, as I've been on the board for a couple of years or president for 6 or 9 months, however long it's been, I really learned that there's a lot of silos, tons of silos in our community, in our county. And there's a diversity issue around silos, there's political, there's community, the whole 9 yards. But one of my hopes is that this Opportunity Unbound initiative will create a new story in DCDC and the county as a whole. And part of that story is bringing in much more diversity, not only at the board level, but the county level. And we're also trying to, they have 2 people on staff. They have Paul, they have Karen Hoyle, that's it. And I'm pushing these guys really hard to get a lot of stuff done. And one of the things that's really important is small business. I've been a commercial banker for 38 years. And PPP and COVID opened my eyes in a way that I intellectually knew it, but I just saw the critical importance of small business. And there's a lot of minority-owned small businesses that we can provide some value add to. And I'm not talking about the chambers. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about some real substantive education around workforce development, education by board development, all that kind of stuff. And that's what we want to do. And it's not about just, a more diverse board, but it's also going out and specifically targeted everybody in our community and everybody in our county. So
I can mention that. Oh, sure. We,
if you don't mind, we're gonna.
oh, yeah.
Last thing, we're going to get that.
No, because there are 2 other parts to that question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, the one part was about the greenness of
Yes.
your work.
I'd like to answer that.
Okay.
No, we don't have specific requirements relative to a company's performance, other than job creation, wages, investment, minimum size of buildings, which equates with investment. However, most companies we deal with, many of the large to mid-sized existing companies and nearly all of the new companies already have strong commitments to sustainability on their books, and that's one of the reasons why Facebook is here. The proximity and the potential for solar energy and wind energy in Illinois, and the access to those grids through ComEd are strong and largely available. Facebook is committed to being 100% renewable very soon. So more and more, this is becoming more important to companies than communities, if you can believe it.
Yeah, no, I can believe it. And it wasn't a requirement, it was expectations, right? So not saying that you're saying to a company, hey, you have to do this. But it's certainly nice to say, it's like if I invite you to my house, and my habit is that you take off your shoes before you enter my house. I'm gonna let you know before you come that I'm gonna expect you to take off your shoes. So that might mean, clean your feet, put on some different socks, unless you want to wear a sock with your hole in it, but I'm telling you in advance. So at least you give companies the opportunity to think about it, and it becomes a selling point for them and us. And it helps the community to not be damaged by an industry that can come and go. Because they come, they damage your community, then they move on. Can, not do, but.
We certainly promote the capacities that we have to serve sustainable energy access opportunities. So we make companies aware of the resources that we have here to enable them to be sustainable, and we'll continue to do that, and that initiates the dialogue and discussion perhaps that you're recommending. And if I could really quick, Frank talked about the importance of small business to our economy and the increasing importance of small business to our organization, DCEDC. For many years, our organization felt that, and many industrial development, economic development organizations around the country in the business felt that the recruiting business and industry would drive everything else, drive community development, retail development, and that's not often the case, and we can also be lagging in certain small business development sectors and success and performance and opportunities. So we became aware of the importance of small business during COVID. As I mentioned, we worked with the university and all the chambers to really reach out and make resources available. DCEDC is membered by many large businesses and institutions in the county, and we reached out to all of our larger members to encourage them to buy local, to accelerate local purchases during COVID while companies were shuttered. And more than 90% of our members responded, of our large members responded immediately and affirmatively, maybe more. But that made us aware of the importance, along with Cohen's leadership prior to Frank. And we recently applied for a grant from the Small Business Administration in collaboration with the university in the Rockford region, in partnership with the Rockford Regional and the Rockford Planning Council, for a hub and spokes grant application within the region to reach out to small business, to disadvantaged business, to minority businesses throughout the county, to make them aware of resources and support that are out there to start businesses and expand businesses. We're competing nationwide with perhaps lots of other regions and communities, but the importance was brought to our attention, and Rockford invited us to participate with them, and we actively took advantage of the opportunity. We hope to know in the next couple of weeks we're successful, and if so, we'll be actively reaching out through chambers, business associations, and business networks, informal business networks, to reach target audiences to support small business development.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. We'll bring back the resolution at next month's meeting and vote on it and get it over to you.
Thank you very much for your support.
Yeah.
Time.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for coming.
All right. Good night. All right. So next we have reports. Supervisor's report. So last month when I was doing my verbal report, I noticed some board members looking in their packets to try to find maybe information that I was talking about. And so I decided to do, I will start to do a written report so that you have that information in front of you. So rather, if you have an opportunity to read it, if there's any questions about anything in my report.
I haven't had an opportunity to read it. Is it?
You're still gonna talk about it?
Okay.
So you
Well,
just-
I'll just touch on them briefly and then maybe this is more details. So social service grants, we received 15. The deadline was the end of July. So Gail and I will get together and start reviewing those and exploring those, bring them back to the board at the October meeting to vote on the recommendations that we bring forward. General assistance and emergency assistance, we're getting more requests for applications. For a short time there, the eviction moratorium was ending on August 31st, and it has now been set to October 3rd. So we'll see how that
They
plays.
differentiate high and substantial areas.
Um,
They tell you.
So it's just a metric that they're using. There's the 4 tiers. There's low, moderate, substantial, and high.
Yeah.
The moderate would be if 50 out of 10,000 people are positive for COVID. That's the threshold. At 50 and above, it goes into substantial from moderate. I believe it's at 100 per 10,000 that it goes to high.
You know.
Everything on the
are we
map
in
is
that?
red, yeah.
We're in that.
Yeah, there's only a handful of, that are not in the red zone, which is what, high impact? Right, high-
High, and I apologize, I can't say I looked at the map.
No,
this
it was
week,
just in
but,
general.
I mean,
Yeah,
it was
I just
really
looked at it today,
skyrocketing.
yeah. It's-
So,
I know we were the substantial.
Yeah, and now we've exceeded that to the next level.
But I'm not a landlord, I'll tell you that.
So I did,
I'm sorry, is it possible, I know you didn't get to the questions part yet. If it's possible to do, and it wouldn't be me, it would be you probably, like a workshop for landlords and tenants about what this means? Because I know people are freaking out about,
about the,
am I gonna get put out? Do I get
Yeah.
to stay?
yeah,
What does that mean, like instantly am I?
right. Well, I mean, the landlords understand what it means. They're well educated on the eviction moratorium. And it's interesting because this week we had 2 applicants or 2 residents come in for assistance who are being evicted. And so we called the city about that because there's an eviction moratorium, and so kind of handed it off to them. Also consulted with Hope Haven about that. And so, it's a landlord that has substantial number of properties in the community. So, we just have to do our part to make sure that people aren't getting evicted when, in a time where it's illegal to do that. So I think the landlords are very well educated on what all of this means. However, I did, the new emergency assistance levels, payment levels, I did send an email to the DeKalb Area Renters Association, which is local landlords. I did send this to them with the new payment levels and asked them to pass it on to residents who are in need, so that, it's kind of a win-win situation where helping people catch up on their rent and helping landlords who, still have to make their payments. So
Is that the same as Dara?
yes, that is.
Okay, okay.
Mhm. So we are in communication with landlords about what we're doing.
Okay, I'm only asking because I haven't talked to anybody personally, but I've seen on the news where they say that some of the landlords hadn't gotten the money, like the money was released, but it didn't come all the way down. And if people filled out the information, if they had more knowledge, they would have filled it out, so.
Yeah, Family
know.
Service Agency's taken the lead on the like state and federal programs.
Okay.
Because they've received some of those grants.
Perfect, yeah, good. Thank you.
Sure. And we're gonna continue processing the applications for all 17 towns, or the 17 townships we've historically worked with. One of the things that we did recently, which has been really great, is historically, we've had a lot of people return their applications for general and emergency assistance. And then an appointment is set up. And where they have to come in and we go through the application and get all of their documents to verify their identity and all that. And they just no show, no call, don't come for the appointments, and then they're not found to be ineligible. So we decided to implement a texting system. Like, I know I'd miss doctor's appointments if I didn't get that text saying I had a doctor's appointment. So we're doing something similar, and it's been remarkable because the first day we did it, Karen sent the text out to 2 people to remind them of their appointments. Both of them called. One of them didn't know they had an appointment because they hadn't received the packet in the mail. And the other one realized that there was a conflict with the appointment time, so they were able to reschedule. So then they're not, receiving a notice that they're ineligible for services. So we are going to continue that practice. And as a matter of fact, the software that we use for general assistance and emergency assistance, it's created by someone in the suburbs. And we contacted him and asked him if he could incorporate that into the software so it does it automatically through the calendar. And he said, well, you're a pretty small township and, we don't normally make changes, every time someone requests them. So the larger townships would have to be on board. So that's a lot of the more urban townships. And so we asked which ones of those were. He told us. So I started calling them and asked them to speak to, whoever it was. And they were all on board, thought that it would be a great idea because they're also sharing the same experiences that people don't show up for appointments and that reminders would be good. So hopefully that will be in place through the software. And then Erica and I are going to Rockford Township on Friday to learn more about their programs and systems. We're just looking for ways to be more efficient and effective with what we do. The website, we're continually updating that with services that we're providing. I became a notary. So we're, now we have a couple of us. Since Office Max closed, we want people to be aware that they can come here for faxing services. We're limiting it, but that because a lot of people used to go to Office Max for faxing. So just another service that we have. And we'll continue to expand those over time. The paper shredding that we talked about last month, that is scheduled for Saturday, September 18th. And so we hope that you can join us and greet residents and help out in any way. I reached out to a student from the DeKalb High School National Honor Society, and she did clear it with their advisor that they are willing to participate. It just has to be passed by the school board at their next meeting, which I think is on the 18th. So it'll be great to have young people in here helping. And then for, if you want to help spread the word, there are other projects that need to be done around here. And, students, we can certainly, if they need to get hours for something or another, if they want to come in and volunteer, we'd love to have them. Cemetery updates, there's going to be restoration happening to headstones. That should be happening any week now. At Oakwood. There's also going to be some tree service done at Oakwood. We have a lot of large old oak trees out there that are losing branches. When they fall, they damage graves or headstones. And so it's just annual maintenance that is done. We're also having the entrance into Oakwood. It's a little bit of an incline. And so that's going to be paved because what happens now, every time it rains, there's a washout. It goes into the church parking lot and we're just not being very neighborly. So that's something that is also going to be happening this summer. Craig and I went to the Alliance of Illinois Cemeterians summer workshop last Friday, which is fascinating. Learned more than I ever expected to know about vaults and all kinds of things. And did a tour of a memorial garden and saw, how they have it, and it was beautiful, and networked with people from all around the state. So learning more about cemeteries. And then I was recently contacted by another Boy Scout who is going to do a Eagle Scout project, another Eagle Scout project at Oakwood. And then I guess the other big thing is I'm going to go do a LIHEAP training next week, and I'd like to incorporate LIHEAP application process into general assistance because it's a requirement. If they're behind on utility bills and they're coming to us for assistance, we make them require the LIHEAP. So it makes sense to me that we can help them complete that application, and it can, one-stop shopping as much as possible. And then on your desks, I put the agenda for the training through TOI, boot camp. If you're going to participate in that, it's for newly elected officials. That's tomorrow and then 2 weeks from tomorrow. but it will be recorded if you need to watch it later. And then on the following page is the FOIA requests that we received since our last meeting. And I'm just having Karen track her time so that we know how much, bless you, how much time is. Questions?
It seems like you've been busy, good.
I know, I was like, wow, I was tired. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, so if you have any questions and we'll have one more meeting before the shredding event, so I'll do another reminder. And then Karen's working on a flyer, so when we get that made, I'm gonna send it to each of you so that you can help circulate it or, put it at your workplaces, whatever as well. Clerk's report?
Yeah, I just want to. Project reports the Township Lot 109 replaced. We hope to have both of the minutes out for last month's meeting and this month's out and passed by next month's meeting. So I'd like to get out the formal currently out yet. On top of that, I know I'm not a member of a lot of these matters regarding what becomes of our video streaming in the future. But I already know what we end up doing in terms of recording and streaming the meeting. But as the clerk that he does deal with a lot of the information about the meeting, it would be my recommendation. So there's making it as transparent as possible. Good idea, especially because I don't fully believe that the effects of COVID are fully over for everyone. I think every opportunity that we can give for people to participate in these meetings is one we should. But
I thought we were live streaming them.
Yeah.
We are, right?
right, I'm advocating for that.
I guess I had a question because I was thinking about that too. I know we talked about recording it, but I was wondering, say I wasn't available and we recorded it, could I participate if we were recording it? Like I couldn't zoom in if we're just recording it,
Well,
or could I?
well, you could watch it, but when we were going through the pandemic, board members could participate through Zoom because of the pandemic. That is no longer the case. It's only if there's 3 reasons, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, right? But there's 3 reasons that allow participation, remote participation. One is if you're sick, one is if you're out of town for work related or family emergency.
Correct, family emergency would be the third.
And yeah, and so I just sent you an email from TOI about this and it going back to the old way, and please elaborate.
I mean, the only thing I would say, Supervisor Hess, is that the past month has been a very interesting debate emerged in the legal community about whether remote only meetings would be allowed at this stage with the governor's most recent proclamation. I mean, my legal opinion is that it can continue at least through August 22nd of this month. Possibly it will be extended, but there is a number of authorities who are coming out saying they understand it to not be permissible as of today. I don't think we have any immediate plan to go remote only. But certainly if something changes or something happens, we may have to revisit that. And of course, I would also think if we reach a new level of pandemic concern, that I think the governor would also clarify if the intention is to allow that again.
Mhm.
But you're absolutely right with the Open Meetings Act. Under regular criteria, we can't just choose to dial in because we're comfortable in our pajamas or
Right, if you're on
whatever the reason may be.
vacation,
or
a family vacation.
Vacation would be a reason you couldn't do it. But so yeah, there are very limited reasons outside of the emergency proclamation allowing the remote only meeting.
Right. My question is, if we take the approach that we record it so that it's not.
We're gonna be having a discussion on that resolution. Can we visit that subject then?
Sure.
That's coming up later in the agenda.
Sure.
So, okay, just we'll get through these reports then. So Highway Commissioner is not present, the assessor is not present, trustee reports. Do you have- Trustee Thurman, do you have anything?
I don't, no.
Okay,
I don't have anything either.
so,
Well, the students are coming back. I'm sure you've noticed the busyness in the community and I've seen them coming in and moving and hearing dogs and cats and stuff. I have a question actually too. It's not, I'll wait till I finish this though. And I'll just say it because I forget it every time I come. What happened to that 7-Eleven down there? I don't know if anybody knows what happened.
I just went out of business.
Oh, okay, that was.
They got new owners recently. And
Okay, so maybe they'll open back up. I don't always shop there. I just was shocked. Like one day I came and one day they were gone. The city has, through the, I guess it's the HRC, has created a guide. It's called Welcome Home, a guide to community resources for new residents. And Joe Gastiker, who is the chair for the HRC, has sort of put something together. And so this is kind of a rough draft. I don't even think this is the last 7. Well, I guess this may be the latest copy, but I think we added some things. I think he added the township because the township wasn't on here. And he referred to the NIU One book. So I don't know if you all are familiar with the NIU One book. NIU students are. You're familiar with it. So the One book is a really great tool that introduces students and parents to the university, saying, here's where you go. And so it's particularly, I think, helpful for ethnic, racial minorities. So if I'm a Black student and I need a haircut, and I look in the book, I'm gonna be able to see, oh, this is where Black people go for haircuts, right? Or if I'm Indian, here's where Indians go for groceries or food. So that way, the community is appealing to a large variety of folks intentionally. So I'll pass this around if you want to look at it. I think it's a great idea, so I thought I would share that. And you can maybe look at it online. I don't know if it's actually online, but I do think that Joe Gasker talked about having it, having copies present at Corn Fest so that people could pick up 1 or 2, so that when people move to the community, they'll have some insight. You know, it used to be the phone book, but we don't have the phone book anymore.
That ain't.
Right, so this would be just a tool for that. And I believe he included the township. I haven't scrutinized it. I'm sorry, work has been my priority, so.
can I make a copy of that at the end of?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that, yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, thank you, Lisa.
Yeah. I got another question. What about that, that governmental channel? Would that be an option for the township? You know,
No, I
where
checked on that.
the city does it?
No, it would be, the cost of that is pretty exorbitant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because it used to be music and,
Yeah,
I don't know, pictures. Now it's blank.
Yeah.
And I guess until they have the meetings.
Yeah.
So.
I did check on that with the city.
Oh, and I'm sure people know by now, the city has approved the Police Oversight Review Board. I don't know what it's called, Citizens Review for the police. And we had a conversation with Chief Byrd and Bill Nicholas at the last HRC meeting. And we talked about some of the pros and cons and some expectations, so.
You know, if they're gonna put NIU PD, DeKalb PD, DeKalb County PD, and Kishwaukee Hospital on this list?
We certainly can request it, yeah, write it down, and I'll share it with Joe if it's not there.
I'm just scanning it. I don't see any of the non-emergency numbers for those PDs. I don't see the hospital.
Yeah, put it,
Want me to write on it?
yeah, you can write on it, yeah, it's a copy, it's not you can write on the back maybe, because I know Mary wants to. Yeah, and I'll share it with Joe, because I think that's important. I mean, as we looked at it, we came up with more and more. He's not trying to make it a thesis,
Yep.
but he wants to be as comprehensive as possible, because somebody new to the community just doesn't know these things.
Right.
And so the only way to help them know is to make it available. Did you see the township on there? You did see it?
I didn't.
Because he said he added the township. And I think he added the one book. So if he added the one book, they may cover some other things as well, but we'll see, surely. Yeah, put it on there. I'll share with him.
All right, so we'll pass that around and then I'll get copies. All right, so we'll move on to bill paying. So you'll notice in your books, there's this updated, there's a loose copy of an updated one. After we made the board books, Jody received more bills and paid those rather than recreating the books. We just supplemented this. So this is the August bills.
Do you have the one for us to, the 2 copies for us to sign?
Those are, yeah.
I didn't see him in the
Oh,
folder.
I'm sorry.
Are Chad and Rich, not Chad, Craig and Rich, okay? They're just not here.
Yeah, they're just not here. So first, we will motion to approve the July totals expenditures report in the amount of $178,765.93.
I'll make the motion.
A second.
Any discussion about that? Roll call, please.
Supervisor Hess,
Yes.
trustee McNabb,
Yes.
trustee Thurman,
Yes.
trustee King,
Yes.
trustee Bradlow is absent.
And then next, looking for a motion to receive, file, and approve. It would be the August budget report, right?
I think July's correct.
Oh,
Because,
August, July, all right, I'm sorry.
yeah,
Receive, file, and approve treasurer's July budget report. There's a motion for that?
I will.
Chad?
Yep.
Second?
A second.
Jill, second? Any discussion about that? No, hearing none,
Roll vote, Supervisor Hess,
yes.
trustee McNabb,
Yes.
trustee Thurman,
Yes.
trustee King,
Yes.
and trustee Bradlow.
And then there is no unfinished business. So next would be new business. That's a discussion of the library. The first item is discussion of the library card service for DeKalb Township residents. So. with me. In May of last year, Supervisor Johnson had a discussion with the board about a potential township library card program for residents of the townships who are not residents within the city limits. Because if you live within the city limits, you get a free library card. And those outside of the city limits have to pay for it. So there are, several individuals who live outside of the city limits who would benefit from having a library card. And so I wanted to revisit the subject. And I did verify with Brad that this is something that's allowable under state law. And I don't know if you want to.
sure, just that, there's actually a statutory provision that recognizes the ability to use general town funds to basically support library services. So networking, IG, entering an intergovernmental agreement with the library district is certainly within the purview of the township's authority if it wishes to do so. So funds could be used to subsidize or I guess potentially pay, whatever those membership fees might otherwise be.
For the cards themselves. get access to a library card.
Correct, and it could take several forms. It could be allowing non-residents to be eligible at discounted rates or potentially subsidized by the township. It could be used to some extent to even potentially subsidize city residents within the library district, also, paying some portion of their membership fees as well.
So I did have a meeting with Emily Faulkner, who is the director of the library, on the 20th of July. And we had a conversation about this. And one of the things she let me know is that they have a partnership with the school district. So if students who live outside of city limits, but in the township through the schools can get a family library card. So like suburban estates, is that what's called? So a lot of children who are living there would qualify through the school district.
Their parents would too.
Yes, because they get a library card for the whole family. But if you don't have children in the school district and need to get a library card, those are the residents that we would be serving. And so currently the fee for that is $135.37. That's an annual fee. But again, it's for per household. One library card for the entire household. So I wanted to bring this to your attention tonight, and just that these are conversations we're having, Emily and and I'm going to bring this back to the board for discussion and vote in the future. But I just wanted to make you aware it was going on.
I'd want something on there so we wouldn't be on the hook for any damage or fines or anything with non-return books, and that we would only be subsidizing or helping with the card itself.
Okay.
Yeah,
And people gotta be responsible if they're gonna borrow books in the library, and
Right.
I think,
Right. And
they gotta return them.
yes, and she
That's all that's-
did say that would be part of the intergovernmental agreement.
Yeah, so I wouldn't want us to be on the hook for any damage or any non-return books,
Right.
only for the membership itself.
Yeah, and she said they're doing away with fines.
Yeah.
good. Well, and the challenge with that is if they do damage a book and the book doesn't come back, probably they should be on some kind of suspension.
Yeah, that's
Because if I think it's, I'm always torn with the punitive aspect. Because I think people need to be literate, and I think people need to read. So I think that there's some challenge. If you can't afford probably to walk in and get a library card, you're certainly not gonna be able to pay the fine for a book that's late or not returned.
yeah, and they do have policies that deal with that.
As long as we're not on the hook for paying them, because then people bear no responsibility. If they know the township's gonna pay their fine, if they keep a book for 2 years, then what's the incentive to take it back?
Right, yeah. So yes, we would be just purchasing the library cards, and the library has.
Why is that funny?
Well, I'm laughing because I'm thinking if somebody gets a book, maybe the incentive to take it back is that they want to get another book.
Yeah.
And so to presume that, that's the only incentive to take the book back is because you don't want to fine.
I'm not presuming that.
Oh, well, I thought that's what you said, because it disregards the fact that maybe I want another book. That's the reason to take the book back.
Presuming or disregarding anything. I just don't want the township to be on the hook for any sort of payment for damages or lost books, that's all. I'm 100% behind the program. I just don't want us to be on the back end if people are irresponsible and lose or damage and there are fines. I don't think that should come on us.
Okay, I'll make sure that's.
I'm not presuming or assuming anything.
And there's an unlimited number of books you can check out. And also the library card, library membership grants you access to some of the digital content. Will that be the same with these cards?
Yep, you would have all the access.
Yeah, full access.
I think it's a good
Yeah,
idea.
it is a very good idea.
And we're
Yeah.
really gonna push it with our general assistance clients who are in our workfare program to make sure that if they live outside of city limits, that they're getting a library card so they can go there and, maybe work on their resume through using the computers or search for jobs or.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, I remember when Jenny brought it up, and I think she said, and there are only a few people. It's not like it's 100 people that will need this.
Yeah, this is will probably be a small population, but again, it's another service. Because, you know, like Clinton Township, south of us, they have a library. And so we don't have a library, so this is a way of supplementing because we don't have a library.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And I like to help people, let me just say that. And especially when it comes to helping people gain access and information.
Yeah,
I
knowledge is
think
power.
yeah.
And I think like Mary said, that's $135 to $130, so it's a lot cheaper expense than building a library for the township.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So,
Okay, well, I will share, you know, your concerns with Emily and make sure that that's part of the IGA, and Brad will be working on the IGA, so it's good to have all that. So, thank you. All right. And then in your board packet was a grant application for the Committee on Youth from the DeKalb County Youth Service Bureau. The DeKalb County Committee on Youth has not been started up again. That will be coming, but I've just focused more on general and emergency assistance in my first couple months here. So it's up to the board to do this expenditure. So the Youth Service Bureau is proposing or requesting funding of $750 for it's combination early intervention and prevention program for DeKalb youth between the ages of 11 and 16 whose schools identify as at risk. And so the Youth Service Bureau will be going into 4 schools, the high school, the 2 middle schools, and Little John, working with students who are identified by the school. And they're, you know, doing these programs and then also reaching out and doing parent education. And so they've received quite a bit of funding from other entities for this project. And so $750 is to support purchasing supplies and doing a training workshop with the individuals who will facilitate these programs. So it certainly falls within the purview of what we're trying to do to the Committee on Youth and, you know, eliminate or decrease youth literacy. So just a roll call for that. Okay.
Somebody to move it?
Okay, all right. So do you have a motion?
Yeah, so move.
Okay,
and second,
And could I just, for formality's sake, request that we tie the dollar amount to the.
oh, okay. So motion to approve a grant in the amount of $750.
Correct.
To DeKalb County Youth Service Bureau through the Committee on Youth. And so Lisa moved.
Yes.
second.
Roll call, please.
Roll call vote, Supervisor Hess,
Yes.
Trustee Thurman,
Yes.
Trustee McNutt. Yes. Trustee King,
Yes.
Trustee Reports is absent.
And then have no need to go into executive session, so old business. Continuing the conversation that we had last month regarding what we agreed to do last month through our poll for recording and viewing board meetings. And the majority of the board members wanted to move forward with where we would record our meetings and then put them on a site. We talked about YouTube specifically, where we would have a YouTube channel, and the day after the board meetings, those would be posted to that channel. And there was a variety of reasons why people were in favor of this.
That also includes live streaming while you're recording, though, right?
No, it is just, it's recording the meetings and then putting them up there the following, or posting them the following day. And one of the main reasons for that was if there's technical issues, then, you know, we're not saying that we're going to live stream them and then not have the ability to. And actually that happened last month. If we said we were going to live stream it and there was an issue with the technology and it wasn't available.
Can we say the live streaming option will be available unless technical difficulties arise, and then it'll be on for later. Like, what are we on the hook for legally if we want to stream it, but something goes wrong?
Right. And it's a great question. And the short answer is we can do whatever the board wants in terms of the final form of the policy. Certainly the concern is if we commit ourselves to providing a technological resource and then we have some sort of a glitch, and I do believe that literally happened at the last meeting, is we all saw that screen up there and thought we were accessible through Zoom, but there was some sort of a login concern or problem that people weren't actually able to access it. So, I mean, for what it's worth, Trustee McNutt, the fourth bullet point of section 1 of the proposed resolution does try to disclaim such responsibility, and it says the policy stated in here shall not be construed to create a legal obligation upon the township to provide or maintain public access or records beyond that which is required by Illinois. So, I mean, to the extent possible, we can certainly try to, if the will of the board is to allow the live stream if feasible or if possible, we could certainly have that included and try to, it would be as protected as we could with that statement.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of live streaming, but if it's gonna hang us out to dry, if something goes wrong and the internet's down, or, you know, if something happens with Frontier or Comcast, and we literally can't stream it out, but we could still record it and put it on the next day.
I mean,
You know,
we could have a failure with the recorder, but that's far less likely to happen with recording equipment, with the network. I'm dealing with this right now with the classrooms.
yeah.
And the one thing is people, if you live stream it, they can interact anyway. So there's no benefit to live stream it. If they record it, most people now are used to watching stuff on DVR and watching it at their leisure. And that happens far more than people live streaming it.
Okay.
And then if we have it for a resource, we're not doubling the efforts either. We're gonna post them anyway. And because most of the 2 FOIA requests we had now are for videos from that.
Yeah, for
If we
all videos.
Right, if we always have it posted, it's one consistent place that people go to, they know they can find it. And if you wanna be here, you know, you come here unless something changes, you know, but.
So COVID related, you mean,
Right.
if something
It's
changes
COVID
COVID related, then
we have to consider
shift
other
gears
options.
into that.
Right,
Well, my question that I asked earlier sort of relates to this. So say I break my leg, God forbid I break my leg. And I'm a board member,
Right.
and we have the capability of me participating in a meeting because we have this technology. If it's being recorded, I can't participate unless I call in on the phone?
no, you can still participate, because if we are recorded, we don't have to stream it out to anyone. And then if we create the stream, you could come in, technically it can be done where you can access the stream because we're not streaming it. We're only making it available to you. If that makes
We
any
could
sense.
Zoom and then
Zoom.
she could log in, even though we're not streaming it to the world. We
Exactly.
could record the whole thing and post it.
So how can I participate but other people not participate?
What do you mean?
You would get the Zoom invite. It wouldn't.
Well, everybody would get to Zoom,
No
Well,
one
that's
would
what
get the
he's
Zoom
saying. No,
invite.
it
They would get
wouldn't be
the recorded video,
or they would get the link
to the recorded
that it's
video.
done.
Right.
They would go to the YouTube channel and watch it on YouTube.
Right. What about Sharbat's concerns that he brought up?
I think he was
Okay.
touching on COVID, and you said if the COVID thing ups, then we would potentially go back to streaming it.
Well, he also mentioned that other governmental bodies do things differently.
Streaming.
I guess he said streaming. I didn't follow.
What's the downside of streaming it live?
Not always being able to deliver, and that's probably the most frustrating thing to people. But if you always have it as it's basically Netflix for the township. We have all the videos there. You can pull them up anytime, and they'll be available at this time. And if we have a problem, we have time to address it. Does it make sense? Before we post it.
Right. But does it substantially increase like Andrew's amount of work to stream it while it's recording? So that people can still count on the recorded version being up the next day at 2 p.m. But as long as the streaming's available, they could still watch it live and interact if they wanted. Like during public comment, they could interact.
No, public comment is an in-person thing.
Unless the COVID stuff goes on.
Unless, if the COVID thing happens, but to have interaction, someone has to be watching the computer. And so Andrew's trying to take the minutes, and then you also have to be monitoring the chat box, and
Yeah.
so that's, the public comment would be limited to in person. And then if, like right now, the way it's being done is it's just being broadcast. The meeting.
It's not recording right now?
It is, it's being broadcast
So-
live and it's being recorded.
So, what?
You first, I have a question.
So is the workload on you increased substantially if we just broadcast live and record simultaneously and don't allow for the public to get in the chat box and?
That's what we're currently doing.
Yeah.
But that's what we were doing last month and things went wrong and.
I get that. I'm just asking,
Yeah. No,
Is
it's
it
the same.
is it a big deal? As long as we say we're gonna post it the next day at 2 o'clock or whatever you guys do, to also try and broadcast it live. If it doesn't work, hey, public, we're sorry. We tried to do it. Comcast was down, whatever. It's still gonna be up the next day.
Frankly, the issues with it not live streaming last month are ones that I fully understand. I do not believe it would add a burden to my workload in any capacity. I'm fully confident with regular live, assuming internet is working, all of those things.
Right, like if there's a glitch and something technical happens, that's just the world we
That's
live in,
how-
and people are gonna have to get over it. you
But
know?
I'm confident that I could generate those things, and, as long as there aren't comments for me to monitor, that would not add anything to my workload. If we did want to monitor comments, allow participation that way, and if it were the will of the board to do so, I guess this is a question that I have, would it be permissible for me to appoint a deputy clerk to do so? Is that the thing that we would do? That was the will of the board.
I mean, in theory, that could be a clerical duty and assignment. If I may, and I don't. I mean, I want to be very sensitive to the board's purview on this issue, so I don't want to overweigh with any editorial or opinion on my part. I guess my concern legally to Trustee McNatt's earlier question would increase the minute that remote participation of the live meeting becomes a mandate or something that we're allowing, just because at that moment, whoever had planned to participate remotely couldn't,
Right.
then we've restricted them from access to the meeting in terms of being able to address the elected board. I would have a concern.
Absent
with
that, though, if we're just broadcasting live and there's no expectation that they can participate remotely.
But someone could still be harmed in a way that they schedule their day to come to a meeting and it's not, just to watch it live and it's not there. It's just the expectation that it be posted on site. I'm just trying to eliminate even some type of perceived harm that we'll give to the community. If we promise in the stream there and someone say, I'm gonna be here at 6 o'clock and the stream doesn't happen, what recourse do they have? Do they call in and say it's not working? Well, if you're just gonna have the video posted, I'm trying to reduce the failure surface, I guess.
Yeah, I guess we're just I'm just in a different place than.
Yeah, I'm concerned about,
I think we should be able to broadcast it with the understanding that if it doesn't work, we're sorry, but we intend to broadcast it. It's still gonna get posted the next day.
I'm concerned about the population of young people, as I mentioned, I think last week, that streaming is a part of their culture. And so while we think of it as technology and it's new and it's innovative, it really is becoming a part of the landscape
I'm not saying.
of let me finish there, of how young folk interact. And I think doing it live offers the opportunity. I don't know that I'm leaning one way or the other, as long as if I need to call in remotely and it's one of those reasons that I can and fully participate as a board member. As a community member, I probably would find it just like those meetings at the city. it would be probably a lot more relevant if it's interactive for me. And I think for a lot of people, given the culture and given the landscape of the way the world operates, that's a more intentional, integrative way to do it. I understand all of that, if something goes wrong, and I get that's important, but I also think the engagement piece is important as well.
We just gotta find a happy medium,
Yeah.
you know?
And like I said, with streaming, we are gonna technically stream it, the debate is whether we stream it or live stream it. And is there any I don't see a value add to live streaming it. That's what I'm saying. A matter of fact, I see a value taken away that you have to be there at that point to watch it. If you're gonna post it anyway, just have them watch it then, because they can't interact anyway. Because I think we're to the point where they're not gonna be able to interact online. So we might as well just post the video.
Although if they saw one of us, they could say, hey, can I talk to you? Because at that township meeting, I saw X, Y, and Z. If they have to wait to see it, and then they see one of us, it might not be the same kind of interaction. So, six in one hand, half dozen in the other. I think it boils down to, I guess, what people think. But again, and I'm given toward the interactive place. That's what's important to me. And if I'm seeing something Monday at the city and I pass somebody in the grocery store, I got that moment to go, hey man, what was you talking about? But if I wait or have to wait.
I'm not a fan of the interaction if it increases our liability or anything like that. I just like the idea of streaming it live and recording it to post the next day. That way it gives people choices. We're not putting ourselves out liability wise. If they want to sit at home and watch it live, they can. If they want to tune in 2 or 3 days later, they can.
And the only one I'm really familiar with is the city, broadcasted on Channel 14. And then I believe the recordings are available on YouTube. I don't know what the Park District does, the library
I
board.
just don't see the harm in the live.
Yeah.
And them being able to watch it live, not interact or anything, watch it live. If you want to interact, be here in person. But if you want to watch it live on a computer, there it is. You want to watch it the next day when it's posted or a week later, then you can do it that way.
So
I don't see that. Does that make sense?
Or it makes, what you're saying makes sense, and it's really not my decision.
But I'm talking about the liability, if the
Yes.
tech doesn't work and the live part isn't there, well, we're sorry. We intended for it to work. If we can't post it at the designated time the next day because something's wrong and it goes up a day later than that, we're sorry. This is our intention. Something happened. Sorry, we were 4 hours late in posting it, there has to be a certain amount of understanding.
So if I may, Supervisor Hess, the resolution as drafted, I think I would classify it as representative of Trustee Thurman's express view at this meeting, and I believe the prior meeting as well. I think Trustee McNett, you're suggesting what might be an amendment to the resolution as drafted, which, like, for example, after the first bullet point where it says video recordings with audio shall be regularly made available to DeKalb Township board meetings, we would maybe add a bullet point that would read video recordings with audio shall be live streamed if technologically feasible to allow remote viewing without remote participation. So I think that would be the difference between the two viewpoints you two gentlemen have expressed. Trustee King, I believe you're expressing, what would be a different viewpoint, which is that remote participation would be allowed as it would be live streamed as well.
That would be ideal. It doesn't necessarily have to be. And I say that in compromise. I'm probably more for Chad's, and I keep looking at your name because I want to call you Chet. Don't ask me why. I keep,
For the both.
okay, all right, good. I think Chad's position, although, I think for Andrew, right? Okay, for Andrew's sake, it will be hard for him to try to tape and monitor and all of that. And that wouldn't occur if people were here anyway. So I think that works fine for me, that there is live and people can see it as it's occurring and it's recorded, is what I understand. And if I'm out sick, I can get a link.
And we can
To
remote.
participate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as the person that's been in the back of the room, that worked just fine. Mr. Shervat called in and his phone was there and he didn't.
And it showed up, it worked.
And it worked.
All right.
I'm confident, within, again, the boundaries of Wi-Fi working and all those things.
Yeah, I mean, we can only control so much. So if it's beyond our control, it's beyond our control. But if we're putting our best foot forward and saying this is our intent to have it live, if you want to speak, you'll have to come in person because there's no interaction if you watch it live. And hey, we're gonna post it by whatever time you decide the next day. I just don't see the harm in it.
I know that I'm normally not a voting member, but I have the feeling I might have to in fact break a tie tonight. And I guess I would say, I guess that's
You vote in case of a tie when we're appointing a board member.
only if I would.
So, and on that point, I think it's a fair point. It would require 3 of the 4 of you to concur with
choose
one of these
these.
approaches. So, so somebody could make a motion to amend to reflect the trustee McNett amendment to the existing resolution. Another iteration, the matter could be postponed if you just want more time to think about it. Whatever the board wishes to do.
I have a question. Are you opposed to?
No, not opposed. I'm just trying to give us the best, set us up for the best path to success with this and give people a consistent place to look for items too.
But if we're good with second best, like Chad's idea, you good with that?
I'm not even saying a second best.
No, I'm just,
Hopefully, or even better.
I'm joking, Dale. I'm being.
Yeah, I know.
And I asked that because if he's okay with it, because he brought it up as well, then I go for what Chad said, because it encompasses both.
If it doesn't increase our liability and the things you talked about, and it adds that live feature that some people might want, and we still retain the recorded feature that's accessible at any time after it's posted, it seems like a win-win.
I'm good with it. I'm just saying.
And Andrew said it wouldn't increase his workload, so.
Right, in terms of what you said, in terms of amending the original, I'm willing to do that.
You making a motion to
I am,
the original.
For the live broadcast.
to Chad's commentary that I'm assuming Brad has.
So for the record, trustee King, please confirm this is correct. You're making a motion to amend the resolution approving policy for recording and reviewing board meetings to add a new second bullet point, which would read video recordings with audio shall be live streamed if technologically feasible to allow remote viewing without remote participation.
Correct.
And all other bullet points would just be slid underneath.
Yes.
The only thing I would add is live remote viewing. If you said remote viewing, and just make it clear that it's live.
Okay, and we do say live streamed earlier in that, if you think that we could,
Yeah.
okay, would you prefer to say to allow live remote viewing? Is that your motion to amend, trustee King?
Yes. As
Okay.
long as the bottom line is it's the same thing.
Okay, so there has been a motion to amend the resolution. For clarity, this gets very confusing sometimes. We're voting that this is a motion on the amendment, not on the underlying resolution.
Gotcha.
So until the amendment is finalized, the full resolution would not be acted upon.
Gotcha.
So Supervisor Hess, I would defer to you. We do have a motion on the floor to amend.
Second.
Second? Okay, any discussion?
The only thing I would say is that I'm just making you aware that there are devices that you can buy, and that's what I just purchased for the university that allows both of them. Both of those things to happen, it's automatic, it's a one-touch function. And that would be my suggestion for it, because it sets us up for the best path to success. It can do the live viewing, it can record right there, and it's done automatically. And it's made by a company called Epiphan. It's called the Epiphan Pearl, and they make a nano version and a mini version. And those are the two types. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But if you want to do it properly, it does all the proper encoding and it sends out the video RSTP, which is what you want to do from a technical standpoint of it. And you can send it out to multiple mediums so that person can watch over, whether it's YouTube, Facebook Live, and we can stream those out to both places at the same time.
And you don't reap any benefits financially from this company?
Not at all.
Okay. Okay, I'm just saying.
So there's no conflict.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying,
No, I know you do that at work.
oh, yeah, and the advantage of that is that we don't have to decide, because the thing is, once we start streaming, do we stream over Zoom? Do we stream over Teams? Do we stream to Facebook Live? Then you get to those, you live streaming. If you just record it and post it, your answer is there, whatever tool you use to pull it down. But when we live stream, we have to pick a medium. And I say, pick multiple of those so that we can reach the largest audience.
I like that, but what do we do as it relates to this?
We could keep tuning on
Finance.
Zoom until
So that you
we,
get that,
until
yeah.
we can
I
look.
believe
more into that.
the resolution talks about using whatever technology we want to use.
Yeah.
Gives us the freedom to choose.
Yeah, so we don't have to,
Yeah.
we don't specify.
And we can-
Okay, well, I'll reach out to you and learn more about that and maybe have you talk to our IT guy.
Yeah, I'll send a couple links. That's the best thing, that we serve all of those platforms at once. And what that does, that sets up a hub, and then the services, CDNs, is what those use. And then they go out and they pull it from you. So you only have one, so we're not exceeding any bandwidth here. We just making it present. So if we decide we want to stream it to 50 services, it doesn't impact the network here at all, because those places reach out and pull it.
Okay. Okay, so we need to take a roll call on that amendment.
All right, for the, what I guess we're making that amendment to the resolution for the policy for board meetings. Supervisor Hess,
Yes,
trustee McNutt,
Yes.
trustee Thurman,
Yes.
trustee King,
Yeah,
and trustee Brando is kind of absent. The amendment passes.
okay. So now I need a motion for the resolution approving the policy for recording and viewing board meetings.
So moved.
a second.
Moved by trustee Thurman, seconded by trustee King. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Hess,
Yes.
trustee McNutt,
Yes.
trustee Thurman,
Yes.
trustee King,
Yes,
trustee Brando is absent, and the motion passes.
Yeah. Okay, so other business, our next board meeting is on September 8th.
Sounds good.
All right, and we have a motion to adjourn,
so moved.
Second.
seconded by trustee Thurman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Ted, do you still have that form? Did you give it to Nancy?
And what?